welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're going to be stepping into a time machine.
Oh, cool.
Setting the dial for 2050.
Okay.
You shared this article from LIFA with us about a new UNICEF report.
Yeah.
And it paints a really fascinating,
It does.
if somewhat daunting, picture of what childhood might look like 3 decades from now.
Mm-hmm.
So are you ready to unpack some major forces shaping the world these kids are going to inherit?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What really struck me about this UNICEF report
Oh.
is that it goes beyond just a surface level prediction
Okay.
of what the future holds. It's an
Right.
exploration of 3
Okay.
really powerful,
Yeah.
interconnected trends
Mm-hmm.
and how they might weave together to create different pathways for children's lives.
Okay, so let's break down those trends.
Okay.
Starting with this whole demographic shift.
Yeah.
The report says we're heading toward a global population of 10 billion people by 2050.
Wow.
But the number of children will stay relatively stable at around 2.3 billion. Now that just seems counterintuitive on the surface.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd expect more people to equal more kids.
Exactly.
But what we're seeing
Yeah.
is declining birth rates globally,
Mhm.
especially in developed nations.
Oh, interesting.
What's interesting here is what this might mean
Okay.
for children's place in society.
Yeah.
Will their needs and concerns
Yeah.
be overshadowed in a world increasingly dominated by an aging population?
You know, I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah,
But it makes sense.
it does.
Resources could be directed toward elder care and retirement issues.
Right.
It's almost like a societal tipping point,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
And to make it even more complex,
Okay.
the report highlights sub-Saharan Africa
Mm-hmm.
as a region that will actually see a surge
Oh, wow.
in its child population.
Exactly. So it's not a one-size-fits-all demographic shift.
Right.
Sub-Saharan Africa has a huge opportunity here.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
A larger youthful population could fuel incredible economic growth and innovation.
Interesting.
But, and this is a big but,
Okay.
it hinges on giving those kids access
Yeah.
to the building blocks they need.
Right.
Quality education, healthcare,
Yeah.
and eventually job opportunities. Without those, you risk the potential for growth,
Yeah.
becoming a strain on already stretched resources.
Wow. It's like this two-sided coin.
Mm-hmm.
Fewer kids in some parts of the world, way more in others.
Yeah,
And each scenario presents a unique set of challenges.
right.
This really gets you thinking about those theories.
Yeah.
Linking demographics to social unrest, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you have a significant portion of the population
Right.
facing limited access to opportunities, and you layer on top of that the existing inequalities
Yeah.
we already grapple with, it can be a recipe for instability.
For sure.
It's something we need to be actively thinking about
Yeah.
as we navigate these demographic shifts.
Okay, so we've got this complex demographic landscape.
Right.
What's the next big force UNICEF is highlighting?
I'm going to throw out a scenario here.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if this sounds plausible.
Okay.
Imagine schools operating at night.
Huh?
Because daytime temperatures are simply too dangerous for kids to be outside.
Yikes.
Yeah,
That's a pretty disturbing picture.
it is.
But honestly, with the way things are going with climate change,
Mm-hmm.
I can almost see it happening.
Yeah,
Is that actually a possibility UNICEF is forecasting?
unfortunately, yes.
Oh, wow.
Climate change is the second major trend
Okay.
shaping the future of children.
Mm-hmm.
And the report doesn't sugarcoat the potential impact.
Okay.
Think about this. Kids born today
Yeah.
will be facing 8 times the exposure to heat waves
Oh, my gosh.
compared to what we saw in the year 2000.
Wow.
And it's not just heat waves.
Oh, no.
We're talking 3.1 times more exposure to extreme floods
Wow.
and almost double the risk of wildfires.
Those are some scary numbers.
They are.
It's one thing to read about climate statistics,
Right.
but it's another to think about those statistics
Yeah.
translating into a child's daily experience.
Absolutely.
What does that even look like for their lives?
Well, it's easy to think of discomfort,
Yeah.
but it goes way deeper than that.
Right.
We're talking about fundamental threats
Okay.
to their health,
Mhm.
safety, and their overall well-being.
Yeah.
Trying to learn in a sweltering classroom,
Right.
or families displaced by more frequent
Oh,
and more intense natural disasters.
that's a lot.
It is.
Just imagine the psychological toll alone.
Absolutely.
You know, it really highlights the urgency
Yeah.
of addressing climate change now.
Yeah.
It's not just about future generations. It's about the kids
Kids.
living through these changes today. So we've got a demographic shift,
Right.
a looming climate crisis.
Yeah.
What's the third piece of this puzzle
Okay.
shaping the future?
This one might be the most complex of them all.
Okay.
And that's the rise of artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay. So we're going from dystopian heat waves
Huh.
to the rise of the machines.
Yeah.
This deep dive is taking us in some wild directions.
It is.
But AI in the context of childhood,
Yeah.
that's not something you hear every day.
It's not Terminator territory.
Okay, good.
At least not yet.
Uh-huh.
But AI is going to be a game changer by 2050.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to how kids learn and the kind of job market they eventually enter.
So like robots as teachers,
Yeah.
potentially, and AI-driven economies.
Yeah.
It sounds like science fiction.
It does a bit.
But I can see the early seeds of this already happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the question the report raises is whether everyone will be along for the ride.
That's a good question.
The digital divide is a huge factor here.
Right.
Think about this.
Yeah.
95% of people in wealthy nations have internet access.
Okay.
But in poorer countries, it's a mere 26%.
That's a massive gap.
It is.
So for kids in those underconnected regions, are they essentially being cut off from the AI revolution before it even starts?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it gets to the heart of this potential future.
Okay.
Will the benefits of AI be evenly distributed?
Right.
Or will it create a whole new level of inequality?
Yeah.
You could almost think of it as an AI divide.
Okay.
Layered on top of
Right.
existing economic and social disparities.
And even for kids with access, there's this whole other layer of ethical consideration.
All right.
Data privacy, how AI is used in education, the kind of online world they're going to be navigating.
Right.
It all feels like uncharted territory.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's territory we need to be mapping out now to ensure that children are equipped to thrive in this future.
Yeah.
It's not just about access to technology.
Okay.
It's about understanding how to use it ethically, safely, and in a way that empowers them rather than exploits them.
So we've got these three massive forces.
Yeah.
A demographic landscape that's constantly changing, the ever-growing threat of climate change,
Right.
and then this double-edged sword of AI.
It's a lot.
Honestly, it's a lot to digest.
It is.
It paints a very complex picture of the future.
It does.
But the key takeaway here is that it's not a predetermined destiny.
Right.
It's a series of choices and actions that we're taking or not taking right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well,
is there any room for optimism in all of this?
I think so.
What does UNICEF say about potential pathways to a better future for these kids?
That's what we'll explore next.
Okay.
There's a lot to unpack when it comes to creating a world where children not only survive these challenges, but actually thrive.
Right.
And that's where I think the real deep dive begins.
Okay, I'm ready.
Welcome back to our deep dive into what the future holds for children in 2050.
We've already covered some pretty heavy ground.
Yeah, a lot.
A global population boom.
Right.
With some surprising regional twists.
Yeah, like sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
Totally different situation going on there.
Exactly.
And then the ever-intensifying threat of climate change.
And that's...
which is a big one.
Yeah, that one's scary.
It is.
And the rise of AI with all of its potential benefits and pitfalls.
Yeah, the double-edged sword.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah, it really is.
But like they say, knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. And understanding these forces at play is the first step toward taking action.
So let's talk about action.
Okay.
Where do we even begin to address these interconnected challenges?
Right.
The report highlights a few key areas.
It does. And one of the most fundamental is investing in children's health and well-being.
Okay.
It might seem obvious.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's often overshadowed by other priorities.
What do you mean by overshadowed?
Okay.
Isn't healthcare for kids a priority everywhere?
It should be.
Yeah.
But the reality is that access to quality healthcare for children varies dramatically around the world.
Oh, okay.
And even in developed nations, we see gaps in care.
Right.
Particularly for children from marginalized communities.
So it's not just about having hospitals and doctors.
Right.
It's about making sure all children have equitable access to the care they need.
Exactly. And this becomes even more critical when you factor in the challenges we've discussed.
Right.
Take climate climate change, for example.
Okay.
It's going to put immense pressure on healthcare systems.
Right.
And exacerbate existing health inequalities.
Wow.
Think about children in poorer countries who are likely to be hit hardest by heat waves, droughts.
And the spread of infectious diseases.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
But it also feels like a call to action.
I think so.
We need to prioritize healthcare systems that are resilient to climate change.
Right.
And that can meet the needs of all children, no matter where they live.
Exactly.
Or what their background is.
And that includes addressing the social determinants of health.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
Things like poverty, food insecurity, and lack of access to clean water and sanitation all have a huge impact on children's health and development. And these factors are often magnified by climate change.
So it's not just about treating illnesses.
Right.
It's about creating the conditions where children can be healthy in the first place.
Exactly.
It's a much more holistic approach.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it requires collaboration across different sectors. Healthcare, education,
social services, environmental protection.
Okay.
It's about understanding that children's health is interconnected with every aspect of their lives and the world around them.
This brings us back to that idea of a child-centered approach.
Yes.
We talked about earlier, right?
It does.
Putting children's needs and well-being at the heart of all decision-making.
Exactly.
Whether it's about healthcare or climate policy or anything else.
And a big part of that is actually listening to children's voices and perspectives.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're the ones who will be living with the consequences of our actions.
Right.
So they deserve to have a say in shaping their future.
It's about empowering them to be agents of change.
Yeah.
Not just passive recipients of whatever we decide is best for them.
Precisely. And it's about recognizing their resilience and capacity for innovation. I'm constantly amazed by how children often come up with creative solutions to problems that adults struggle with.
For sure.
So
it's not just about protecting children from the negative impacts of these trends.
Yeah.
It's about harnessing their potential to create a better future.
Absolutely.
That's a really empowering message.
It is.
Okay.
And it's something we often overlook.
Right.
We tend to focus on the vulnerabilities of children, which are real and important to address.
Yeah.
But we also need to recognize their strengths
Right.
and their ability to contribute to solutions.
Okay, so we've talked about investing in children's health and well-being and empowering them to be agents of change.
Yes.
What other key areas does the report highlight?
Well, one area that's particularly relevant to the digital age is protecting children's rights in the online world.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It is.
We touched on the digital divide earlier.
We did.
But there's a whole other layer of challenges when it comes to ensuring children's online safety and privacy. The internet offers incredible opportunities.
It does.
For learning, connecting with others, and expressing creativity. But it also exposes children to a whole new set of risks.
Exactly.
Cyberbullying, online predators, the misuse of their personal data. It's a lot for parents and educators to grapple with.
Absolutely. It's a constant balancing act. Wanting children to benefit from all the positive aspects of the online world while also protecting them from its dangers.
And it becomes even more complicated when you consider the growing influence of AI.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We talked about how AI could revolutionize education.
Right.
But what about the potential for AI-powered algorithms to target children with personalized advertising?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Or to manipulate their behavior in ways we don't fully understand yet. It feels like we're entering a whole new ethical landscape.
We are.
And that's why we need to be having these conversations now.
Right.
How do we ensure that children's rights are protected in a digital world that's increasingly shaped by AI?
It's moving so fast.
It is.
What kind of ethical guidelines do we need for the development and use of AI, especially when it comes to children?
Right.
These are questions we can't afford to ignore.
We can't.
It almost feels like we need a whole new set of digital rights for children, alongside the rights we already recognize
Absolutely.
in the offline world.
And these digital rights need to be developed in collaboration with children themselves.
Oh, interesting.
They're the ones who are growing up in this digital environment. So they have valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities it presents.
Right.
We need to listen to their experiences and involve them in shaping the solutions.
So it's not just about adults imposing rules from on high. It's about working together to create a digital world that is safe, equitable, and truly empowering for children.
And it's about recognizing that children's rights in the online world are an extension of their human rights in the offline world.
Makes sense.
They have the right to privacy, freedom of expression, and protection from harm, regardless of whether they're interacting online or offline. These rights need to be upheld in both spaces.
It's a good reminder.
It is.
That the digital world isn't some separate realm. It's an integral part of children's lives. And their rights need to be protected across both. So we've talked about the importance of investing in children's health and well-being, empowering them to be agents of change, and protecting their rights in the online world. What else does the report highlight as crucial for creating a better future for children?
Well, all of these efforts, no matter how well-intentioned, will ultimately fall short if we don't have global cooperation.
Okay, so what role does global cooperation play?
Yeah, that's a big one.
When it comes to something like the future of children, it feels so big, so interconnected.
It is. Think about the scale of the challenges we've been discussing. Climate change, digital inequality, the ethical implications of AI. These are not issues any single country can tackle on its own.
Oh, for sure.
They require a coordinated effort, a willingness to share knowledge, resources, best practices.
It's not just about wealthy nations helping poorer nations. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play.
We do.
In creating a better future for all children.
Absolutely.
We have something to offer. And we have something to learn from each other.
Exactly. And it's about cultivating a sense of global solidarity, of shared responsibility for the well-being of all children. It's about understanding that what happens in one part of the world inevitably impacts other parts of the world.
For sure.
We're all connected, whether we like it or not.
I think that feels especially relevant in a time where we're seeing a rise in nationalism and isolationism in many parts of the world.
Yeah, it's kind of a counter trend.
Yeah, it is.
But we really have to think more globally with these kinds of issues.
It's a powerful reminder that we're part of a global community and that our fates are intertwined.
They are.
Especially when it comes to the future we're creating for our children.
It is. And the well-being of children is perhaps the most potent symbol of that interconnectedness. They represent our shared future. And their well-being is a measure of our collective success.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about investing in children's health and well-being, empowering them to be agents of change. Protecting their rights in the online world and fostering global cooperation to address these complex, interconnected challenges.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to take in, but it's also incredibly inspiring.
I think so.
I have to admit, though, I'm still left wondering, what does all of this mean for me? What can I, as an individual, do to make a difference?
That's a great question. And it's one we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the future of children in 2050.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, we've explored some pretty complex global challenges.
We have.
From shifting demographics and climate change to the rise of AI and its implications for everything.
Yeah, it's a lot.
From education and the job market to children's rights in a rapidly evolving digital world.
It really is rapidly evolving.
It is. It's hard to keep up. We've also talked about the importance of approaching these issues with a child-centered perspective. Investing in their health and well-being. Empowering them to be agents of change.
Absolutely.
And fostering global cooperation to create solutions that work for all children. Regardless of where they live.
It's a big task.
It is.
But I think it's an important one.
But now let's bring it home.
Okay.
I think the question on everyone's mind right now is, what can I do?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
It's easy to feel overwhelmed. by the scale of these challenges.
Absolutely.
And wonder if individual actions can really make a difference.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a natural question to ask.
So let's get practical.
Okay.
What are some concrete things listeners can do to make a positive impact on the lives of children, both locally and globally? Yeah. Where do we even begin?
One of the most direct ways to make a difference is to support organizations working on the front lines of these issues.
Like what kind of organizations?
Like about the areas we've discussed.
Yeah.
Children's health and education, climate change, mitigation, and adaptation.
Right.
Protecting children's rights in the digital age.
Right. And there are so many organizations out there.
There are all.
Doing incredible work.
Yeah, really good work.
But how do you even know where to start?
It can feel overwhelming.
It can.
But a good first step is to think about what resonates most with you. Yep. What are you most passionate about?
Right.
Where do you feel you could make the most meaningful contribution?
So it's not just about writing a check.
Right.
It's about finding an organization whose mission aligns with your values and then figuring out how you can best support their efforts.
Yeah.
Whether it's through donations, volunteering your time, or using your skills to contribute to their work.
Exactly.
And remember, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment. Even small actions, like volunteering at a local school or donating to a reputable charity can add up to make a real difference.
Absolutely. And those small actions often lead to bigger ones.
Right.
Creating a snowball effect.
It's like that saying, think globally, act locally, right?
I like that one.
We can be aware of these global challenges, but also find ways to make a difference within our own communities.
Absolutely.
And sometimes those local actions can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate surroundings.
I think that happens more often than we realize.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of raising awareness.
Oh, that's huge.
Talking to your friends and family about these issues, sharing information on social media, or contacting your elected officials to advocate for policies that support children.
Those things really do matter.
These actions might seem small.
Yeah.
But they can help shift public opinion.
Right.
And create momentum for change.
Absolutely.
So it's about using our voices and our platforms, however big or small they may be.
Doesn't matter how big they are.
To amplify the message.
Right.
That children's well-being matters.
It does.
And that we need to take action to secure their future.
Absolutely. It's about raising the volume on these issues.
And making sure they don't get lost in the noise.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there.
There is.
So we have to really be intentional about amplifying these messages.
And another powerful way to make a difference
is
to be a conscious consumer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Think about the products you buy, the companies you support, the environmental impact of your choices,
all of that.
Supporting businesses that prioritize sustainability, ethical labor practices, and child-friendly policies.
It all makes a difference.
Is a vote for a better future.
It really is.
It's about aligning our values with our actions.
Right? Yeah, making sure they match up.
Recognizing that our everyday choices have consequences, both for children today and for generations to come.
Absolutely.
And this brings us back to the importance of education.
Right.
Staying informed about these issues.
Yeah.
Reading articles and reports. Engaging in thoughtful discussions.
It all helps.
All of these actions help us become more engaged citizens.
Absolutely.
Who can make informed decisions.
Right.
And advocate for change effectively.
It's a journey.
It's not enough to just take action.
Right.
It's about constantly learning and evolving our understanding of these complex challenges.
They're complicated.
Recognizing that the world is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And the solutions we need today might not be the same ones we need tomorrow.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable. Open to new ideas.
Right.
And willing to challenge our own assumptions.
Oh, that's a good one.
This deep dive has certainly challenged mine.
Yeah, me too.
And it's made me realize that creating a better future for children is an ongoing process, a journey we're all on together.
Well said. And this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
I think it has for all of us.
Both in terms of the challenges ahead and the potential we have.
Right.
To shape a better future for children.
Yeah, I'm feeling hopeful about the future.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
But if there's one key takeaway I hope listeners leave with, it's that the future isn't set in stone.
I like that.
It's something we create together through our actions, our choices, and our unwavering commitment to the well-being of all children.
That's a powerful message.
And it's a reminder that we're not just passive observers of history unfolding. We're active participants in shaping the future.
Absolutely.
And that future, the future of children, is too important to leave to chance. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought that really stuck with me from the UNICEF report. The future is not something we enter. The future is something we create.
That's a beautiful quote.
It is.
And a powerful call to action.
It reminds us that we have a choice. We can either passively accept the challenges of the future, or we can actively shape a world where all children have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Not just to survive.
It's not enough just to survive.
But to truly thrive.
To thrive, to flourish.
And that's a future worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of children.
My pleasure.
We hope it's inspired you to take action. However big or small.
It all matters.
And to be part of creating a better world for all.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning.
Yes.
And keep fighting for a brighter future for children everywhere.
Thanks for joining us.